What's up, guys? Who needs meta here
I love
with...
Who needs meta? That's the stupidest intro. What's interesting, the 3v3, we're just kind of like talking through decks and like, you know what? There's a lot of people who probably never played Tengu Plan format who are like, someone has to do it. And lucky you, you're the one. That's why you're here.
Gifting resources to the community. What a...
Yeah, no, this is like my favorite format. I've been playing it. I remember when the ban list changed to March, and I was like, I'm not selling my plans for my agents. I like these cards. So I just kept them. Yeah.
We're here with Hero Beat.
Yeah, Hero Beat. It's my opinion the third best deck behind Agents and Plans. You can kind of flip a coin which one you think. But I think this deck is sneaky good, and this deck actually plays trap cards. So
And you're a big fan of purple cards.
Yeah, if you want to play trap cards. So the 1 Stratos, and then the 3 Alius.
And that's the whole hero package?
Yeah, essentially. This is your main hero package, your main fusion material, your guy. This is how you do things.
There's some decks in the format, some Hero Beat variants choose to run like a singleton Bubble Man or something just for a 5th hero, but it's far from necessary.
The closest thing I've come is a light 19 Gem Spark target. So some lists are cutting these. I'm also playing Veilers. Some lists, when they play Veilers, they're like, I don't need the additional light, so I'm just going to cut the Gemini. But I think this is good. You can play Chevalier. I've talked about this before because it means you get to play Nova Master.
Which is a cool card.
Which is a cool card. But
it says draw cards.
It does say draw cards, but I've decided to kind of like, I don't know, not include it. I just felt that this is fine. You can cut it if you want to play like an additional trap card or like, I don't think you need Sidra in the main. You can play a second Snowman.
You can play a second Snowman, a Cyber Dragon, a Gorz.
Yeah. I've seen Gorz come up. This is like super standard 3 Thunder King. Pretty much every list is going to be playing 3 Thunder King in the main board. This card is...
Good card, 1900 light.
This is the format. It's Tour Guide T-King format with some decks just like trying to cram BLS. Any deck can win if it draws BLS. I've seen people try and cram Tour Guides in this deck just to play BLS.
There's some topping lists in Tengu Plant Town that play Tour Guide.
I played it, man. I was like, I just wish I had trap cards. I just wanted trap cards this whole time. Although, because Sangan doesn't really search you a whole lot in that variant, you get to play Cloudy and Poison Cloud as your light, as your target, as your level 3 Fiend, and it's a water, and it's honestly probably better than Sangan. So, the aforementioned 1 Snowman Eater.
Somewhat biased because this man loves this card.
This is my favorite card, but it's a water 1900. I think the mirror, for a while, the mirror was like super popular, and this card is really good against it. I mean, if you're an Edison player, you know how good this card is against that matchup. But I just think it's just awesome.
It's a solid one of.
Honest.
For all your lights.
Because you play so many, even with the Crusader, you get so many more, and then, yeah.
Double Veiler to round out the light lineup.
So some like to play Skill Drain.
In the main?
Yeah, in the main as opposed to this. I don't know. This just feels better. I mean, obviously you're going to lose the die roll, and you need something going second when you do. Because you can't set 5 when you lose the die roll. Although don't set 5 in this format. Black Rose is actually really relevant. And not at 1, unlike Edison.
Yeah, Heavy Storm's still a thing, too. And multiple MSTs.
On
to spells.
Yeah, these are probably the most important spell. Cadigan bullied me into playing Future Fusion.
I think you need to, and most other lists do. It dumps your cards. It sets up your Miracle Fusions. It sets up your Hero Blasts. You can duality into it. So
the only reason I'm just gonna skip ahead. The only reason I agree with him is because you can see your guys quicker because you play 3 Pot of Duality. So you can see your Miracle Fusions faster because you have this card. So that was the big reason. I was like, okay, it was what if you never draw Miracle Fusion? If you're Future Fusion, you set it up, you never draw it, but I don't know, you have the ability to accelerate.
Yeah, you can dig for it.
Yeah, especially because you get to play this card.
More draw power and disruption.
This is, again, with the 3rd Crusader, just being able to, I don't know, see cards a little bit easier.
Cards just all around great.
Yeah, this card is so good because I'm not playing MST in the main.
It's good enough you're running another level 4 Gemini.
Yeah, so that's another reason for it. And then you have the Shining to recycle Alias and things like that. You also have your search cards, 1 and 1.
Only 1 eco.
Yeah, again, you have 3 Duality, you have 3 Gemini Spark, which are going to draw cards, so you don't necessarily need more of this card.
I agree. I think if you're on 2 e-call, you need to have a 5th hero. Otherwise, it's just you're going to brick on it.
Trinity.
Yes.
Those are the last spells. Some lists cut heavy because of the trap lineup, but you play slightly less traps nowadays. I've seen some lists going all the way down to 8. I'm on what, 13? Yeah, I'm looking at 13
trap cards in Hero Beat.
Yeah, down to like 8 to 10. It's like, I don't know, man. I think trap cards are cool. That's kind of why we're here. Speaking of trap cards, we're gonna move on to trap cards. Two Hero Blast. This card's nuts. It recycles your engine. It keeps you going. This is like,
and it pops T-King.
and it does pop T-King. This is Thunder King format, baby. You're popping T-King. I was like 50-50 on this and whether or not I played it. I kind of wanted to play Compulse in the main. The logic behind not playing Trap Dustshoot is because you're going to be playing in like an absolute grindy state. The likelihood of them just like redrawing the key card that you put back. But like then again, BLS is in this format, so like if you could just like put that
It
card
is worth hitting BLS.
If you could just put that card away and you don't have to worry about getting blown out by that card. Although we do play so many traps that like it's not as a blowout, but like holy crap, that card's insane.
Dustshoot's still just goated.
Yeah, like having perfect information, and then you can just board it out. It's terrible against you too.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice. Like this card is like super like not good against you. It's another reason to just like hold your Rhoda and your E-Call if you don't actually need to go after a guy. If you like have a steady stream of normal summons, then you're like, oh, I should thin my deck, and it's like, but if you like make them whiff on Dustshoot, then yeah, I don't know. Starlight, because of all the sets, you can maybe get away with not playing it. I'm not really sure.
It's a flex spot.
Yeah, I like it. I've seen some lists play too. I don't know. I think this card's good. For summons, TT, double bottomless. Again, I'll see like in decks that have like low monster counts, you'll see people like not playing TT. I've heard of like people playing Dino Rabbit back in the day. Like, yeah, I don't play Torrential. I want to protect my Logi. It's like you're not always gonna have a monster, especially in a deck with a super low monster count line. Like in the lineup, you're not gonna always have a monster. So, Mirror Force. There's a debate whether this card is better than Mirror Force. I don't know. I think when you can't go wide, mass removal is kind of important. So it's like I'll play 3D prisons instead of the one Mirror Force, but like I don't know. I think going wide.
Mirror Force is still good this format.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's really good. Like wide boards or whatever are just like difficult to deal with sometimes when you can't really consistently put out a bunch of dudes. These are like
the Solemn Brigade.
These are like really good. You should play. These are like the best traps.
First turn T-King Warning is...
Yeah, T-King Warning is kind of unfair. Another thing that people don't really talk about is like trap sequencing, like what I should set. If you're like going first and you have these, set this one, because if they MST you and then summon a guy, then you can set this and get rid of it. And then if the other way around, if you set this and then they summon a guy and then you have this card, this card does nothing.
Yeah, the monster's already on the field.
So that's just something that like, I don't know, when people like get it pointed out to you, you're like, oh yeah, I should probably think about that.
Yep, trap sequencing is important.
But in like Edison or whatever, there's like Torrential and like Bottomlesses maybe, but you see people playing Bottomless less and less in that format. This is our big upgrade moving to this format.
Shining.
It is a Shining. The fact that it just like recycles your guys, it's big. I will say, it being like obviously big, and you think about that, I do side deck the skill drains. You do have to be wary against agents, because Hyperion is bigger than it under skill drain. It's 27.
Yeah.
So you have to like keep that in mind when you're like
sometimes also
side decking that card
TGs.
and
If
playing.
you're able to scout out a Barbaros, you got to worry about that too.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Although I'm not playing skill drain against that deck. Wow, that deck card staying heavily in the sideboard. 2-0 because you can use it for itself for the water material. So I mean you could technically do all three, but like if it gets bottomless or removed or whatever, you're not doing it. So access the second one.
It's still a good card. Shining's just typically better for
Shining is like the way to go. And the last one is Gaia. We talked about Nova Master earlier. I decided to not play it because there's no fire deck that I'm siding Super Poly in against, and you can't make it without Chevalier. If you play Columbus format, which I don't think is what it is going forward, this is like usually Great Tornado.
Draco-Equiste?
Yeah, Draco-Equiste, but here it's this card because we don't have Great Tornado. So this is how we out like Stardust Dragon and things like that. If you struggle with that card. That card, Chimeratech, because you play Cyber Dragons in the sideboard.
It's still relevant.
It's relatively relevant. The card that like you mostly get rid of is Catastor because a lot of decks can make Catastor super easily in this format. So you're mostly going to get rid of it. But you have like so much room in your extra deck because you're not really synchroing. You have Veilers, but like...
Yeah, this isn't Bubble Beat.
Yeah. So I I play Leviair.
If you play one Snowman and you have Monster Reborn
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
for someone else's tour guide.
I dropped my Utopia. One Utopia. That I just dropped on the ground. It's a level 4, it's a light.
You have more 4s though.
You have plenty of 4. You play the rank 4s. This is like kind of iffy on whether because Thunder King essentially does the same thing, but you lose Thunder King, whereas this you don't. So you're very rarely gonna make it with a Thunder King, unless you need to dig for something with duality, and you're fearing something. Then you could shut off your Thunder King and use this card. So.
Like you said, you have a room in the extra deck, and it's nice to be able to turn a Stratos and an Alius into a T-King-esque card if you need it.
And then this to abuse Snowman, and it's an Earth for Gaia, but mostly just to abuse Snowman if you have it in your room. Synchros, this card, because you can obviously summon Valor or Reborn Valor. This for the road. I got the Nova Master. Well, it's just playing it just in case I ran into a fire deck, which you'd probably be counting as no, this card's way better. And it's it is, and it's a water, so it works that with Miracle Fusion. But I just think this card is it's the best synchro in the format, and there's a reason it got banned.
2 level 4s plus Reborn on a Valor makes Trish. It's worth it sometimes. It'll come up in every few games out of 100.
Sideboard, the aforementioned 2 copies of Cyber Dragon. I've seen list side 3. You definitely don't need to play 3 of this card.
There's not enough machines. There's Karakuri, there's still Machina, there's Gadget in the format, but
it's good against TGs to stop the searches on the machine ones, if there even are any. I think there's no, I don't think there are machine ones.
In the mirror, you probably swap your Valors out for this.
This is way better in the mirror. You want to be able, because you can't Hero Blast this card. So that's the big thing. Maxx going second against certain decks. I'm 50-50 on whether this is good actually against agents, just because it hits the Venus early, and that's cool and all, but after they've Venused, you're not really going to get a whole lot of value out of Maxx. This card is insane against plants, and there's obviously a bunch of rogue decks like Karakuri and things like that are trying to spam the field, so this is good against those.
Just think about your matchup before you side it in.
Yeah. Gorz. This is also really good against the mirror, unironically. I was kind of surprised how good it was. You see, I said, some list main decking it, but double this card.
For the mirror, for agents.
It works against agents. It's mostly against the mirror. I'm kind of iffy on whether it's actually that good against agents, just because you have to discard a card, use one of your own, and use this as a fusion. So that's 3 cards to get rid of their 1. So
it's not awful against Karakuri either.
2 leechings. So this is a lot better in decks because they all gain the attack. So it's if you can put out more than 1, this card is really good. I've thought about replacing it with these
Soul Takers.
Yeah, because you can use this to get rid of Christia, which obviously leeching can do. Super Poly can't do that. And this card makes Shining mistiming. So and it's slightly less situational and things like that. So you can go with Soul Takers, but
for your consideration.
1 Lance. I think this card's awesome against TGs. And it's pretty good against the mirror as well. It's a pseudo spark when you don't have it because if they try and spark you and you just chain Lance or whatever.
Double
try
MST.
and Bottomless or whatever. 2 MSTs. I don't think you need 3. Cat can talk me out of 3. I was originally playing 3. But I think the Lance is just kind of better. And then we went with the Gorz just because I think Gorz is really good against a lot of decks and not a lot of people see it coming.
With triple Gem Spark, you really just don't need triple MST.
That's another one. And you have Heavy as well. So, and your deck is semi-resilient. If they if you go for an Alias or whatever and they warning you, you could just Hero Blast it back and you're still
fine.
Yeah, you still have guys because the biggest threat of your deck is just running out of monsters. Compulse. I like this card against the mirror or against Shining and things like that. It's chainable, so the ability to set 2 into heavy and without Judgment or Starlight, and you can chain something. It's kind of like why a lot of other decks play Wing Blast and stuff. And then this card.
That card shuts down a lot of
this is really good against a bunch of stuff. Obviously, any rogue matchup like Karakuri and gadgets, anything that agents. I think it's again good against. You have to figure out if it's actually worth it. This card's not good against plants, at least in my opinion, because it doesn't stop Tengu, it doesn't stop Lone Fire, it doesn't stop any of the plant monsters in the graveyard. It doesn't stop T-King negating summons. So it's super not good against that matchup. But I think it's worth it in the side. That's one of the reasons why it's like not main boarded, because there's just so many matchups that it's like actually kind of mid against. You see a lot of people playing Gravekeepers right now.
There's a fair amount of Gravekeepers, and if you're worried about them, because Spy does have a big butt even without Necro Valley, maybe like consider a closed forest.
Yeah, so I like closed forest in decks that play Ancient Fairy Dragon, because you can just pop it and then go get it.
Yeah.
But
this one you can't. But
like you're like super not susceptible to Road Tribute, which is like
that's true.
The big thing in this deck is like you don't like hard lose the Road Tribute. So unlike Agents who pretty much auto lose the turn 1 Road Tribute. So that's another reason to consider this deck going forward, with the amount of people who are just like, you know what, I've joined actually. Hold on. I'm like. Oh no. I'm like
no.
trying.
Get the Gravekeepers out of this hero profile.
We're like trying to get there. So yeah, I don't know. We're joining the party, but thanks for watching, guys.